The dust swirled in the sky as the dropship landed on the broken surface of Yarith 9. The war had left the land cracked, black, and silent. Veteran alien commander Carrot stepped out, his eyes scanning the battlefield ruins. His dark armor was worn, the color faded by time and blood. He had seen many wars, too many, but nothing prepared him for what he saw next. A patrol unit approached. With them walked a human soldier. He moved with calm steps, helmet under his arm, looking around like he had returned home after a long time. His face was young, clean, untouched by time or war. Carrot's breath caught in his throat. No, it couldn't be. The human looked up and their eyes met. Carrot stepped forward slowly, his hands cold. "What is your name, soldier?" The man gave a slight smile. "Captain Rienvale, Earth Command." The name hit Carrot like a punch. The voice, the face. It was the same man he had held in his arms 200 years ago as the battlefield burned around him. Carrot had buried him beneath a stone cross on Terran Ridge. There had been no mistake. Rienvale had died. He was gone. But this man, this exact man stood in front of him, untouched, not older, not scarred. His skin was smooth. His uniform, though updated to modern standards, looked almost the same, like he never left. "You died," Carrot said, voice sharp. "In my arms." "You died." Ryan tilted his head. "I don't remember dying, sir." "You bled out. Your heart stopped. We buried you." The human looked confused. "That's impossible." Carrot waved a hand, and the guards around him tightened formation. The patrol fell silent. No one moved. "Medical scan," Carrot ordered. A drone zipped forward and scanned Ryan. The results were instant. DNA match, 100%. Identity confirmed. But the scan also showed something strange. No cell aging, no signs of time. It was as if Ryan had never lived a day past that battle. "How long has it been?" Ryan asked quietly. 201 years. Ryan stepped back. His face twitched. For the first time, he looked unsure. His voice dropped. "That can't be right." Carrot stared. "You were buried with honors. I stood at your grave." The sky above rumbled. A storm was building in the clouds. Dust and static danced in the air. "You remember nothing?" Carrot asked. "Only of flashes," Ryan said. "I remember fire, pain, then silence, cold. Then I woke up in the drop chamber last week. They told me I was a long-lost soldier found in cryo-sleep. But that doesn't feel right." Carrot narrowed his eyes. "Cryo-sleep doesn't stop aging this perfectly. You should have scars, cell breakdown, memory loss. But you are clean, perfect." "Then what am I?" Ryan whispered. Silence followed. No one had an answer. That night, Carrot stood alone in his command tent, watching old footage from the Battle of Terran Ridge. The video showed Ryan shouting orders, saving lives, dragging wounded from the fire. Then, the explosion. The med drone pulling him out. Blood pouring from his chest. Carrot's own younger self holding him as he died. "I'm sorry, Ryan," young Carrot had said back then. "You fought like no other." Now that man was alive again. Carrot couldn't understand it. Something didn't make sense. Later, Ryan sat alone by the cliff edge, watching the stars. Carrot approached, silent as a shadow. "Tell me the truth," he said. "You came back with no orders, no memory, no change. You are not a ghost, but you're not a man either. So what are you?" Ryan didn't turn. He just said, "I don't know, but I feel like something is pulling me, like a voice behind a door I can't open." "What does it say?" "It doesn't speak. It waits." Carrot felt a chill crawl down his spine. He had fought monsters, rebels, machines, but this felt worse. Like something was not just wrong, but ancient, and it was waking up. The next morning, base alarm screamed. A satellite over the planet had caught a strange signal. An old Earth beacon, coded in a format no longer used. The beacon's name, Project Lazarus. Ryan looked at the screen, and for a second, a strange light flashed in his eyes. Something deep, something not human. Carrot whispered to himself, "What did they bring back?" The med bay lights flickered as Ryan sat on the exam table. Around him, alien doctors moved carefully, scanning him from head to toe. Machines buzzed, screens filled with data, but nothing. Made sense. His body was perfect. No damage, no signs of time, not even a single wrinkle or scar. Cell structure normal, no aging, muscle density stable. DNA is exactly the same as in military archives. The lead doctor said. Commander Carrot stood nearby, arms crossed. He stared at the human like he was something unnatural. Explain how a man can disappear for 200 years and return without aging, Carrot said. The doctor shook his head. That's not possible, unless he was never truly gone. Rian looked down at his hands. They looked normal, real, but he didn't feel normal. I don't remember anything between the battle and waking up in the drop chamber, Rian said. No dreams, no sound, just darkness. Carrot narrowed his eyes. And yet here you are, breathing, strong, alive. The word alive felt heavy, like a question, not a fact. Later, Ryan was assigned to a scout team for a patrol mission. The team didn't trust him. They watched him like he was a bomb waiting to explode. But when the team was ambushed by rogue drones, Ryan moved like lightning. He took down 5 drones in seconds. No hesitation. His hands moved faster than the eye could follow. His aim was perfect. His mind was clear. Too clear. Even the scout leader, a hardened warrior named Zur, stared at him in shock. That wasn't training. That was something else. When they returned to base, the rumors began. He's a clone. He's a ghost. He's a weapon. The whispers spread fast. Carrot called in a secret intelligence officer, an old contact from the council. Together, they accessed a black-level file from the Earth military archives. It was locked behind old encryption, but one name was visible. Project Lazarus, and next to it, one warning in bold letters. Subject RV. If reactivated, do not trust. Observe from distance. Terminate if unstable. Carrot felt something tighten in his chest. They knew this could happen, he said. They knew he might return. But why now, the officer asked. Why after 200 years? Carrot didn't have an answer. Meanwhile, Rian sat in the quiet of his bunk, staring at a small mirror. He touched his own face, as if trying to find something beneath the skin. A memory flickered. Not clear, just a flash. A cold room, a voice whispering, sleep until they need you again. Then silence. He clenched his fist. He didn't know who he was anymore. That night, something strange happened. The lights in the base glitched. Security systems failed. Time monitors showed strange readings. Like time itself had jumped forward and back by milliseconds. Ryan walked into the hallway. As he passed, screens cracked. Lights dimmed. He didn't notice. But the base did. Engineers called it a power surge. But the council saw something else. They contacted Carrot directly. Your human is dangerous, the voice said coldly. He's a threat to galactic balance. If you can't control him, we will. Carrot looked at a message. He didn't respond. Instead, he stared at the screen showing Ryan in the training yard, practicing alone, fast, focused, stronger than any normal soldier. Carrot spoke quietly to himself. You're not just a man, are you? Something had brought Ryan back, but not just to live. Not just to walk again. He had been made for something, and now that something was waking up. The planet Kalfor was dark and forgotten. Long ago, it had been a secret research site for human scientists. Now, it was covered in ash, ice, and silence. No one lived there. No signals came from it. It was marked as dead space on every star map. But that's where the old records pointed. Commander Carrot stood in the dropship, looking at the frozen wasteland below. Ryan stood beside him, silent and tense. This is where they took you, Carrot said. Rian nodded slowly. I think so. It feels familiar. Carrot had brought a small team, just 5 trusted soldiers, no council spies, no outside contact. This mission was quiet, secret. He didn't want others to know what they were about to find. The team landed near a mountain of black rock. At first, it looked like natural stone, but when they scanned it, a hidden entrance lit up under the ice. A wide metal door sealed for centuries, with the faded human symbol above it. Earth Science Command. Archive 7, Project Lazarus. The door opened after Ryan touched it. No code, no key, just his hand. The air inside was cold and dry. Long hallways stretched into the dark. Power returned slowly, lights flickering to life as they moved. Dust floated in the air. Silence followed every step. They passed labs, cryo chambers, unbroken machines. Everything was old. Everything was dead. Until they reached the central vault. The outdoor was cracked open, as if something had left it recently. Inside, they found logs, files stored on ancient drives, barely still working. Carrot handed one to Ryan. Maybe this will explain what you are. Ryan activated it. A video appeared. Grainy and old. A scientist stood in front of the camera. Her voice was tired. This is Dr. Marilyn. Project Lazarus, Day 9 on 12. Subject Ryan Vale has responded well to Phase 3. His cells show perfect regeneration. His brain resists memory loss. Time test successful. He survived 40 minutes in the distortion chamber with no side effects. Ryan's eyes widened. Another log followed. At Day 9:20, something strange happened. Ryan's body entered stasis on its own. No signal, no trigger. It's like he's waiting. We can't wake him. He just sleeps as if a part of him is outside of time now. Carrot stepped back. You were never supposed to wake up on your own. Another log played. Day 9:38. The council ordered us to shut the project down. They're scared. They think he's too perfect, too dangerous. They don't understand. Ryan isn't a weapon. He's a key. He was built to survive something coming. I don't know when, but it's coming. The screen turned black. A final note appeared. If he wakes up, the enemy is near. Suddenly, Ryan clutched his head. He groaned in pain. Visions flashed. Fire, stars breaking, ships torn apart by something massive. He fell to his knees. Carrot rushed to him. What did you see? Ryan's voice was shaking. Something old. Something hiding in time. I was made to stop it. Carrot turned to his soldiers. We leave now. But just before they left, one of the soldiers found something else in the corner of the vault. A cryopod, broken open, wires torn, recently used. Carrot's heart sank. That's how you escaped. Ryan looked at the pod. I didn't escape. I was released. Behind them, the vault lights flickered again. Carrot didn't speak as they flew back. His mind raced. Ryan wasn't just a soldier brought back to life. He was made for war. A war that hadn't started yet. Something had let him out of that pod. And whatever it was, might still be watching. 2 days after leaving the secret vault, strange things began to happen. It started small. One of the soldiers in Carrot's squad complained of missing time. He said he walked from the mess hall to the barracks, but 30 minutes had passed, and he couldn't remember any of it. Then the night patrol reported hearing whispers over their comms. Voices speaking in old Earth languages, long dead. One voice kept repeating a phrase. The sleeper stirs. Carrot watched the recordings. Static filled the screen. The voices were faint, but real. Meanwhile, Ryan Vale had changed. He slept less. He trained harder. But it wasn't just physical strength. He was sharper, faster. His reflexes were nearly impossible to follow. During combat simulations, he dodged pulse rounds before. They were fired. But the most terrifying thing happened in the strategy chamber. A group of commanders were running a war sim. The computer displayed hundreds of enemy ship formations, each more complex than the last. Ryan stood behind him, silent. Suddenly, he spoke. Move the second fleet 5 degrees west. The enemy will try a loop ambush in 21 seconds. They ignored him. 21 seconds later, the enemy ambushed exactly as he predicted. No one had seen it coming, except Rihanna. Carrot stepped forward. How did you know that? I don't know, Ryan said, confused. It just appeared in my mind. A scan showed increased activity in parts of his brain most humans never used. Something inside him was waking up. A part built long ago, now alive again. That night, Ryan sat alone outside the base watching the stars. He looked peaceful, but something deep stirred behind his eyes. He didn't hear the wind. He didn't feel the cold. He only heard one thing in his mind. Feet. Protocol has begun. Suddenly, he felt time slow down. The stars above moved strangely, like they jumped, skipped, and stretched. For a few seconds, he saw 3 versions of the same moon, each slightly different, floating in the sky. And then, just as fast, everything returned to normal. Back inside, alarm screamed. The entire base shook. Lights turned red. Carrot ran to the command deck. What happened? He yelled. Temporal wave detected, said the officer. Time jumped forward 0.6 seconds across the base, but only the base. The rest of the planet stayed normal. Drake looked at the screen. That's impossible. Then he noticed Ryan standing at the edge of the room. He wasn't shocked. He wasn't confused. He looked calm. You felt it, didn't you? Carrot asked. Ryan nodded. Time is cracking. Like something is bending it from the inside. Why you? Carrot asked. Why now? Ryan looked him in the eye. Because I'm the anchor. What does that mean? I think they didn't just bring me back to fight. They made me to hold something in place. And now, whatever I was holding, it's moving. That night, Carrot accessed the rest of the Lazarus files. Many were corrupted, but one played. It showed Dr. Mara Lynn again, her eyes wide with fear. Day 940. The subject is too stable. Too still. We didn't create a man. We created a lock. He's not a soldier. He's a seal. A human built to keep something at a time. If he ever wakes without control, the seal weakens. Another log loaded. Day 945. The council is shutting us down. They don't believe the threat is real. But we saw it through time windows. It moves in shadows between seconds. It eats stars. And only Lazarus can hold it back. Carrot turned off the screen. He knew now Ryan Vale wasn't just back from the dead. He had never truly died. Because something had been locked away using his existence. And now that Ryan was awake, the lock was breaking. Outside, the stars flickered again. Time wasn't steady anymore. The protocol had begun. And something ancient was coming through. The stars didn't shine the same anymore. Commander Carrot stood on the base observation deck, staring out at the night sky. One of the stars was gone, just missing. No explosion, no trace. It had been there yesterday. Now only blackness. Across the galaxy, other commanders were reporting the same thing. Stars blinking out, as if something was swallowing them. Slowly and carefully, Carrot had seen many wars. He had watched planets burn, watched ships fall from orbit. But this? This was different. It didn't feel like war. It felt like something much older, something that wasn't supposed to be moving at all, and at the center of it stood Ryan Vale. Ryan was changing. He no longer walked like a man. He moved with exact purpose, like every step was chosen by something beyond instinct. He could sense things before they happened, smell energy shifts, hear the movement of ships before engines even. Started one morning, he stood outside the base and stared at the sky for a full hour. He whispered just one sentence. It's almost here. When Carrot asked what he meant, Ryan finally answered. I remember now. Not everything, but the beginning. He sat down, eyes locked on nothing, as if seeing into a place no one else could reach. I volunteered. 200 years ago, when the first fractures in time were discovered, Earth scientists made contact with something by accident. They didn't understand it. They thought it was just a ripple, but it was alive. Ryan paused. We called it the beyond, not space, not time. Something else. Something hungry. Carrot's voice was quiet. And what did it want? Not war, not planets, just presence. It wants to be here, to exist. And the only thing stopping it was me. Carrot looked at him. How can a man stop a force like that? I wasn't a man anymore. They changed me. I became part of a time lock, a living seal. As long as I slept, the beyond couldn't break through. But someone woke me up. Carrot thought back to the broken pod. You think someone released you on purpose? Ryan nodded. Yes, someone who wants the beyond to come through. That same night, alarms rang out again. Not from the base, but from orbit. A listening station near a distant black hole had gone completely silent. Before it vanished, it sent a final image. A ship, twisted, floating upside down in space, covered in strange black tendrils. Not metal, not organic. Something in between. Carrot stared at the image. That's not natural. Ryan stepped closer. It's a scout from the other side. Carrot felt cold in his bones. So it's begun. Later, the council contacted Carrot. They had seen the same reports, but their orders were clear. Kill the human. Terminate Ryan Vale. He is the source of the instability. Carrot didn't reply. Instead, he turned off the comm screen and walked straight to Ryan's quarters. Ryan looked at him calmly. They want me dead. Carrot nodded. I'm not sure I can stop what's coming, Rian said quietly. But if I die, there's no lock. Nothing slows it down. So what do we do? Carrot asked. Ryan closed his eyes. We find the source of the breach, the exact point where time cracked. Carrot frowned. Where is it? Ryan opened his eyes. They were glowing faintly now. Just a shimmer, but not normal. There's a system beyond the rim. Uncharted. Dead space. But I saw it in my dreams. That's where the beyond is pressing through. A long silence filled the room. Then Carrot gave the order. Prepare the ship. We're going in. As they launched from the base, every scanner showed strange readings. Blips, distortions, echoes from the future, and far, far ahead in the dark part of space. A shape waited, not a ship, not a creature, something in between. It had no face, but it saw them coming. The ship moved through dead space. Quiet, cold, and full of shadows. Commander Carrot stood on the bridge, watching the view screen. There was no light here, no stars, just a black mist that stretched forever. It felt wrong, like space itself was sick. Ryan Vale sat still in his chair, eyes closed, his skin pale. He wasn't sleeping. He was listening. Every few minutes he whispered something that made no sense. They're folding seconds, hiding behind zero. Carrot didn't understand, but he didn't ask. He had seen enough to trust that Ryan was not guessing. He knew the crew was nervous. The deeper they went, the more the ship's systems began to fail. Lights flickered. Scanners gave false readings. Time drifted inside the ship. Sometimes clocks would jump backward, then forward. One crew member swore he had a conversation with Carrot the day after it happened. Finally, the ship reached the edge. A tear in space floated before them. It wasn't an explosion. It wasn't fire. It was nothing. A black scar. Carrot stared at it. Is that the breach? Ryan opened his eyes. No, that's only the door. Carrot looked around. Then where's the breach? Ryan stood and walked toward the window. His voice was calm. Inside me, suddenly a deep pulse hit the ship. Everyone grabbed onto something as alarms blared. The ship wasn't under attack. Time itself was twisting. Through the windows, the stars bent and twisted into spirals. Shadows moved in impossible ways. Then something came out of the tear. It wasn't a ship. It was alive, huge and floating like a ghost. It had no eyes, no face, just a long black form covered in glowing lines. It looked ancient. It didn't move. It shifted as if sliding through space without touching it. The crew screamed. Weapon systems failed. Shields collapsed. The thing moved closer. Rian's voice rang out across the bridge. Don't fire. It won't help. Carrot turned to him. What is it? Ryan's eyes glowed brighter now. One of the Watchers. They come first to test the seal. If I run, it attacks. If I face it, it judges. Then, what do we do? Carrot asked. Rian walked toward the airlock. Carrot stepped in front of him. You'll die if you go out there. Ryan shook his head. I've already died once, remember? He stepped into the lock. Alone. The doors opened. Ryan floated into space. No suit, no protection. The Watcher stopped moving. Ryan stared at it. The stars around him stopped flickering. For a moment, time froze. Rian whispered into the silence. You are early. The Watcher made no sound, but a voice filled Ryan's mind. The lock is weak. The seal is fading. The gate will open. Ryan's thoughts answered. Not yet. I am still here. You're broken. You are waking. Then I will finish waking, and I will remember how to stop you. Suddenly, Rian's body began to glow. Blue light covered his skin. Symbols appeared on his arms. Old, human, and alien at the same time. His mind burned. With memories, codes, rituals, patterns lost in time. He reached out his hand. The Watcher screamed, not in sound, but in space itself. The stars bent away. Time cracked around it, and then it vanished. The ship's systems came back online. The crew stared in silence. Rian floated back inside, breathing hard. His nose was bleeding, his eyes dimmed. Carrot caught him as he fell. What happened? He asked. Ryan smiled weakly. I remembered the first lock. There are 3 more. Carrot's voice was tight. So we've only just begun. Rian nodded. The real breach is still opening, and the only way to close it is from the inside. Carrot looked at the tear outside. It was still there. still waiting. And now, it was bigger. The next wave was coming, and Rian had to go in. The tear in space had grown. It now stretched across the sky like a wound, slowly bleeding time, light, and logic into the void. The scanners were useless. Reality itself was breaking apart. Commander Carrot watched from the bridge as the crew worked in silence. No one spoke. They all knew the truth now. This wasn't a normal war. This wasn't even about survival. This was the end of time, unless one man stopped it. Rian Vale stood in the core chamber, connected to the ship's neural systems. His body glowed with strange blue light. Ancient symbols moved across his skin like flowing code. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was the last key in a lock that held back something no species should ever see. Carrot entered quietly. "Are you ready?" Ryan turned slowly. His eyes were no longer fully human. "As ready as I'll ever be." Carrot swallowed hard. "What's waiting on the other side?" Ryan looked out the window. "Not death, not life. Something older, something that doesn't belong here. It speaks in silence, thinks in centuries. It's not evil, it just is." Carrot stepped forward. "Can you stop it?" "I don't know," Ryan said, "but I was made for this moment. I carry the last lock in my soul. If I reach the core, I can close the breach." "And if you fail?" Carrot asked. Ryan smiled faintly. "Then nothing will remain to remember we ever existed." The crew gathered to say goodbye. Rian walked to the drop bay. He wore no armor. He needed none. The energy inside him pulsed stronger with every step. The closer he got to the breach, the more he remembered. Faces, voices, scientists crying, friends saluting, a young girl handing him a flower before he entered the Lazarus chamber 200 years ago. "You'll wake up when the stars need saving," she had said, and now the stars were crying out. The launch bay opened. Ryan stepped into the breach. For a moment, the world twisted, then silence, darkness, nothing, and then light, but not normal light. It had no color. It had weight. It whispered across his skin and filled his mind with 1,000 thoughts at once. He floated through what felt like dreams, memories not his own, worlds that had never existed, and at the center of everything, it waited, the beyond, a shape that wasn't a shape, a being that wasn't alive, but knew how to hunger. Rian drifted toward it. It saw him, and it remembered him. "You returned, broken and changed," it said. Rian's voice echoed across the space. "I never left. I was the gate, remember? You were the lock. Now you are open." "No," Ryan whispered. "Now I choose." He raised his hand. The symbols across his body flared to life. The air around him bent. Time screamed. The creature lunged, but it was too late. Ryan spoke the final phrase, a word no species had spoken in 2 centuries. "Protocol Omega Seal." Light exploded from his chest. A pulse, like a heartbeat of the universe, pushed outward. The creature roared, not in fear, but in rage. It had waited so long, and now it was being forced back. The breach shuddered. Cracks healed. Stars reappeared. Outside, on the bridge, Carrot and the crew watched the scar in space shrink, then vanish. Rian was gone. No trace, no signal. Just silence. Carrot lowered his head. A tear rolled down his cheek. But then, something strange. The calm crackled. A soft voice came through. "I'm still here," Ryan whispered, "but not in your time. I'm watching, holding the line. If it ever returns, I'll be ready." The signal ended. Carrot stood tall. He turned to the crew. He did it! One human against the end of everything. The stars shined again. The war was over. But the legend of Ryan Vale, the man who locked time with his soul, was just beginning.